Greetings, friends, countrymen, actually, folks from all over. Welcome. If you catch this in the replay, I welcome you. We're just chatting a little bit of community, actually, in the broader sense, but chatting with some friends online. And there's never a need for an occasion to catch up with good company. Of course, right now you're saying GI Joe or Cujo. Oh, welcome, welcome to my Wi-Fi from my community space here at my apartment here in Colorado Springs. Welcome, welcome. It's new to me. I'm learning to stream in a public space. If people come through, God bless. Anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit of GI Joe tonight. Why would I talk GI Joe? Why would a person who does videos about the end of the world, coaching videos, history or mystery, why would a person talk GI Joe? It's a hack, baby. And here's how. You know what? 6 out of 10 dudes grew up with action figures. GI Joe happens to be the most pervasive piece of plastic in our world. Deal with it. They got Fun School in India. They got Action Man in the UK. Let's see. We even got the October Guard. So, do you think we talk to folks? Yes, we do. Welcome. Let's see. Tonight we're going to talk about. You know what? I'm leaving my guest on standby for too long. Let's get him in. Welcome, my good man, Gary. Not the first time we've chatted. Gary is.
No, it is not.
Yeah, I'm sorry, brother. Don't let me.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're both
awesome
in the community. Cheers. And honestly, since we're talking Cobra tonight, if you got a favorite Cobra, drop it in the comments, and me and Gary will say something astute about that Cobra. What's up, Agon? I appreciate you, brother.
Agon, WJ.
So, let's see. Apologies for my voice, but that's why we got Gary. Gary, you're a podcaster. Talk it, folks. Tell them what your passions are.
Well, big thing is GI Joe. I love the figures. I love the comics. I love, the cartoons, the movies. I just love, the sense of adventure it brings, in a military style setting and science fiction and all that other weird and fun stuff. It all belongs, whether it's Little Green Army Men or it is the depths and the bowels of Cobra Law. So I love everything that is mixed into it. It is a smorgasbord of just interesting characters and interesting toys. And I love exploring all the different stories that come from that. And my bent is I am very mechanical, engineering minded. And, that's why I podcast as the Chaplain System Motor Pod, where I look at the vehicles, other side, like the battle wagon, the flag, and all the other stuff. I love that because, I've been mechanically minded my entire life. Some guys say the blueprints were started when I was 5 years old, putting together a ferret and, just, learning and loving and growing and building, which has turned into my career. But it all started with, these little 3 3/4 inch plastic men and all the other toys.
Hey, if you're a collector, if you're casual, if you remember plastic figures from back in the day, we welcome you. If you're just here because we're a couple of cool cats, we welcome you too. We're talking Cobra Convergence tonight. A bunch of creatives turn up this month. It was spearheaded by a couple of the early creators, among them HCC. What's up, brother? And I can't remember the other two cats.
Well, be Form BX 257 and Timmer from Half the Battle.
Hey, another cat from the UK, if I'm not. Oh, Dutch.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. That was a grab. That was a pull.
Yeah.
Welcome, Timmer. We know you found us. Anyway, they turned up. It's kind of a community event. You do what you do well, and people can find you. So, how many years have you been doing it, by the way?
Cobra Convergence or podcasting?
Convergence, my man.
Convergence. This is my second official year in the Convergence.
Same. I think I'm gonna wrap it after this, as per my content, if you will. Um, I did see you talk some Destro this year, and I do want to talk a little bit of Destro with you. But
Love Destro.
Well, as an engineer, how could you not? And we'll get there too. But tell us, I believe you're turning up from Connecticut, am I right?
Right. I'm from the southernmost New England state that some people don't like to consider New England.
Hmm. Give us a couple sentences on how Connecticut's treating you.
Connecticut is interesting. It's a nice place to live. It has, some laid back things, but can be very hectic at times. Great food,
Hmm.
especially if you're in the New Haven area, and it's high quality living, high cost of living, but
Hmm.
I like it. It's to me, it's worth the price of admission.
Cheers. I am familiar with the high cost as I am in Colorado as well. So you got the mountain time zone and you got the East Coast. Cheers, guys. Uh, yeah, let's talk. I did 2 years of Convergence myself. I'll put our links to our content in the details in post. So check that out. But let's talk a little bit of Destro since I got you, and I did make a banner for that. So let's treat ourselves real quick. Um, let's talk Destro.
It's
If
so
only
hard to
we.
talk Destro without hearing Arthur Burkhart in my ears.
I think we can start with voice acting. One of the reasons why GI Joe resonates is the creatives involved were not playing around. I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about when it started. That's evident in the design with people like who did all those Cobra designs?
Ron
His
Rudat.
name is there. It is. Thank you, brother. You got Larry Hama who brought the ethics and the integrity. That's undeniable. And of course, you got people like Burkhart, an actor who played Destro. Where his voice has been, none of us will know. One of the deepest in the game, but what's your history with Destro?
Well, my history with Destro really starts late, because you had Destro in the cartoon, but he was a great villain, but he didn't resonate so much with me as a young child. His, he was in the cartoon 5, 6, 7 years old. He's like the buddy, the sidekick to Cobra Commander. He's that guy that Cobra Commander bounces off of. I'm way too young to appreciate really the depth that he brings to the table. Now, fast forward, I'm 11 years old. I discover the comic book. I discover the Iron Grenadiers. And next thing you know, now he is evil. He is, just this mastermind, especially, you know, when I come in the early hundreds. He's taking over Sierra Gordo. He's
Mm.
doing
Don't get too deep in the mythology. We're in the engineering. Let me
oh,
cut you
oh,
off and quick fire you real quick. Oh, go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's fine.
We need to say one astute sentence about Major Blood.
Astute sentence about Major Blood.
I'm going to say Major Blood is all of us because at the end of the day, we're all mercenaries. Go.
On the same side, I would say he is the other side of the Destro coin. He is all about the money, but the human element, not the technical element.
Well done. Well done. And we have to do one more since we are experts. Night Viper. You go first. One sentence about Night Viper.
It's about Night Viper. Ooh. The reason to be scared in the dark.
Ooh, true, true. Also, the gun on the leg, they could have done that more. That wasn't a bad move. That wasn't a bad move. All right. Moving right along, I cut you off about Destro, and you were starting to get into how do you appreciate him as an adult?
he's almost a cautionary tale because he is, oh gosh, I think he is like the Nicolas Cage movie. I was thinking about this. The Nicolas Cage movie, Lord of War. I think I get
Mm,
that right.
mm-hmm.
He is like, take any redeeming quality from that movie, from Nicolas Cage's character, and that's Destro. He is, capitalism personified. He doesn't care what he's going to roll over with tank treads to get that almighty dollar, because for him, money is power, uh, power is money, and that is the way he plans to, he doesn't mind ruling over a world that's burning.
Fair point. Sounds like some folks we know in high places. Um, have you just to get in some topical conversation? Are you reading the new Destro comic?
Oh, absolutely.
Good man, good man. As am I. I've only read the first one. Let's chat it up once it wraps up. Yeah.
No problem. I'm actually, not to plug my podcast, but I'm
Please.
actually editing that episode of the Chaplain Assistance Motor Pod right now. Well, not right now, but I was editing it a half an hour ago.
How dare we say anything nice about ourselves? It's too late in the game to duck, guys. Um, basically, when we get to Destro, when we're talking Destro, I'll give you, since you're an engineer, and I do want to cut into that for a second. There's a picture right there. Every November or Jovember, I do sketches for folks. So find me in November, but this is one I did for you. Let's call it a file card art. Who is this character, and why should there be a figure of him already?
Well, unfortunately, I found out, because I'm such a huge fan of the MCU, that Iron Monger is actually the villain in the first Iron Man movie, but that was the code name. And I picked out the code name basically because I was looking for uh, nicknames for machinists,
Mm.
and it was like things to go, and I was like, "Ooh, this one sounds evil," because you know I figured as much. Like, you know, in my, again, with my career path, I was like, do I work for evil guys? I don't think they're evil, but they pay okay. They have decent benefits. I put food on the table. Uh, I don't think I'm supporting an evil regime or somebody that's destined to take over the world. Uh, and I actually know that for a fact because I work for a small company. But in the meantime, though, I put
Golf
myself,
local, y'all.
I put myself in that GI Joe universe. What would I be in the GI Joe universe? And I says, well, I'd probably have a similar career path. I'd be doing, you know, building something or working with somebody. And I love, oh my gosh, I love Mars. I love the idea of Mars. I love the fact that there's somebody that actually is building in this universe. And granted, it's not Battle Force 2000. So, and
Hey,
it's like, I love,
I'm not gonna throw too much shade at BF. What was it,
I'm
BF2K?
not throwing any, it's just, it's friendly. It's friendly stuff. I'm a ball breaker,
Dude, I
or
can chat up those designs. I'm not gonna sleep on those designs. I had the Vindicator. The Vindicator.
yep,
Uh, it
it's
looked
one of
like a
them.
sting. It looked like a stingray, didn't it? As
They're
we kind of,
solid. It's just the sad failure of Battle Force 2000. And not to get off on a tangent,
how dare
but
we?
how dare we? But they had a gimmick that really didn't work as awesome as it should have been, as it was
Mm-hmm.
advertised. But
Word.
it really was. It A couple tweaks here and there, and it really was. I mean, the figure designs by and large are solid.
They got something. A little. Somebody has a little bit of everything, but that's a different conversation. Um, as we kind of get into the nitty gritty of Destro, tell me one thing that Destro Designs did right. Pick a figure, pick a vehicle that you can say, you know what,
Destro's
that works
oh,
for me.
Destro's Dominator, the helicopter tank.
Okay.
Uh, while realistically terribly impractical, it is the one of the most probable designs, next to the Razorback. But I chose the Dominator based on this question because of all the ones that, being mindful of realism and what actually could be made, the Dominator is a solid tank. It
Mm,
it has armor, it has, realistic, you know, places to put the ammo and the guns and everything.
mhm,
It's a great tank. It's a great tank. And then next thing you know, you have the toy gimmick of it turning into a helicopter,
mm.
which, you know what? You come up with some space age material, it's light enough to take flight. So it's well within the realm, transparent aluminum to bring
It,
in another fandom.
it just occurred to me, it would have been a great reskin the Asp. If you made that a Destro weapon, it has the same angular components as their vehicles. I think that
Totally.
looks good. All right.
Totally.
Well, hey, we'll have to hit them up in the labs. Give me one thing that Destro slipped on, a design that you're like, what's up?
Design. Wow. That's a tough one
I got
because
you. You want
I
me to go
really,
first?
yeah, go right ahead.
All right. I'm going to go on a little rant for a second. The biggest FU figure in the line. I'll let you chat this guy up a little bit, but like let's describe him like if I was describing a figure, he's got a go gadget helicopter. Okay, I'm in. He's got a Fox visor that looks good. Okay, tell me more. He's got a pull and spray machine gun that's probably not going to hit anything but make a lot of noise. Okay. Oh, by the way, he's purple and orange. Dude, they can only flex those colors at the Vatican. You're telling me Annihilator's Vatican? No, no. The tassels on a helicopter make it make sense. I don't know. I don't know. That's always been the biggest fu in the line to me, because that sculpt is nice.
Oh, that other. If your biggest problem is colors on the GI Joe figure, you really don't have much to complain about.
Dude.
No, I don't. Alley Viper's orange and blue. So, but you're gonna have a problem with orange and purple? I don't. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's the purple is regal. It goes all the way back to ancient Rome with Caesar.
I'm not going to complain about purple, but orange, dude, I can't even remember what Hobgoblin maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't vibe. But hey, if it works for you, if you can sell me Annihilator, all right. I'd like to see a reskin. Come on, guys.
Oh, that would. I will give you 100%. You put that in normal colors, you sell it out. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the figures that Black Major has reproduced, that one is ripe to get recolored and redone.
Make sure and give Gary some credit on that one. Hey, by the way, if you happen to float through, I'm sorry I didn't make a banner, but say a Cobra figure, and me and Gary will say something smart about him. All right, so who's your pick for sloppy Destro sculpt?
All right. Now, because I wasn't thinking figures, I'll go with Metalhead. I do not like Metalhead's helmet. I do not like the file card, which does not scream Hama. Somebody yelling bang bang to fire it off. The missile racks on the legs. You're just asking for broken kneecaps. Just
yeah, it's a little cumbersome. His thing. I can't see him really. I don't know. He made it to the classified line, so he has his fans.
Everybody, they all have their fans, and that's one thing that I took away a long time ago from Brian Hooded Cobra Commander was there's every figure is somebody's favorites. You can't trash on everything. You got to respect the work. There's no such thing. Like you review something out of 5 stars. Is there really a 1-star action figure?
There is, but we're not going to talk about him right now.
But for as much as there's ones that I don't like, I respect the toy. I respect the work. I respect, the fact that it came to life. It beat out something else.
Hmm.
So there's something worse that did not see production because of that figure.
And
Maybe.
yeah, well, hey, you got some good Destro chat out of us. Of course, Gary, you're going to keep turning up in the podcasts. If you're going through Gary's catalog, of course, you're going to want to look up episode 33, where we chatted up my comic. And I appreciate you, brother, for helping indies.
Yeah,
That's not lost on
always.
me, man. Why don't we end it with the heart, man? It's too late in the game not to. What speaks to you about GI Joe where other toy lines haven't? I mean, we could take a real candid look at a lot of the franchises that are still making money and why they are. But what makes sense to you about Joe?
Well, Joe, more than nostalgia, there's one part about Joe that speaks to me most, and it was a connection with my father. My father's a veteran, Vietnam, and he never talks about it, at least not with me. He's opened up a little bit to my brother, but never really for me. And Joe was my entryway to conversations with my father. When I got a GI Joe comic, my dad read it all the way from issue 101 to 155. He read every single book with me. And, you know, for number one reason why GI Joe still has a huge place in my heart is because of that door it opened. You know, I can tell you, I had to call up my dad. GI Joe Declassified #2, Larry Hama, Devil's Due Publishing, and there's a scene in that issue where Snake Eyes field makes some field instant coffee. Takes a little bit of C4 and he lights it on fire to boil the water to make the pot of coffee. And I had to call my dad up. I says, Dad, did you ever hear of anybody making coffee this way during your time in country? And he laughed and not only confirmed it, but then told me his story about taking those same little balls of C4, lighting them on fire. You threw them on the ground and then you had to step on them, causing a little mini explosion. So I can't do this story justice, but the scene's 1968, Vietnam, maybe winter of 67, winter of 67, 68, before the Tet Offensive. And these guys are taking little bits of C4, lighting them on fire, throwing them on the ground. Then they would stomp on them and they would progressively make the balls bigger and bigger and bigger. So what do you get when you add more C4? Get a bigger bang. So they would all put their money in a hat, and who would step on the biggest ball of C4 would win all the money. And eventually somebody lost their shoe. Not their foot. My dad said they stopped it before they lost a foot, but it's like, that conversation about just making coffee in the field, led to another story that I never heard before. And I don't think he's told anybody else. And he's got other stories too. And I'm just I'm right now, he's, just pulling them out. So, but that's number one for G.I. Joe. Number two is the story of G.I. Joe. You have all these characters. You're at 550 plus characters, and they're still adding more every so often. You got the Mole Rats that just came out, and you got Void Rivals with Solila and Derek, and the storytelling is so rich and diverse. You can go from Larry Hama's ongoing A Real American Hero, and then flip over to Paul Allore's World on Fire. And then you can go over to what they're doing now in the Energon universe. And, you can go back to the IDW run when they had their new relaunch. Or you can even go back to Devil's Due when they didn't realize they could get Larry Hama at that time. And they told their own story for 7 years. And there's really not, there's bad issues here and there. I mean, nobody can hit a home run every time up at bat, but by and large, there's wonderful storytelling in almost every iteration.
Hmm. I guess I would cap it the same way, and thank you for that, Dagon. I concur. If you're a fan of Joe, you don't get to be a wallflower. You got to turn up. It's baked in it. Live the adventure. Am I right?
Yeah.
I think Joe will always be relevant to me. For one, it's a worldwide language. I knew what NATO was before I knew a lot of other things. You know, the writing that Larry Hama put into toys made me one of the smartest adults around. You know, so that's not me flexing. That's reality. There's a lot of intelligence in Joe. There's a lot of
Yeah.
and everybody talks military. I'm in Colorado Springs. Of course, people love talking Joe. Well, I live in the same apartment with somebody who flies like a Chinook. I hope I get a free ride, by the way. But no, it's that's GI Joe. It's not, to me. It's not military. It's, are you good at what you do? You're GI Joe. Anytime you hear somebody say, "Oh, you're a real GI Joe in a movie," it's because people are really good at what they do. So that's GI Joe, baby. That's what I see.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, I mean, you really think about it, you know, the cartoon, you know, think about who joined GI Joe in the cartoon. You know, Shipwreck. He's just hanging out in a bar, and you know, Flint and Mutt come up to him. They're like, "Oh, we need a ride back," and he's like, "Well, I got a sand, I got a sand skiff," and they, next thing you know, now he's in GI Joe, and he's turns basically into the main character. But like you said, he was great at what he did. You know,
Well,
Quick Kick, he's filming a commercial and it got too cold and everybody left. And, he sees Alpine and Bazooka. He rescues them and then continues on to defeat Storm Shadow. Now
Once
he's,
again, I can name drop the voice of Quick Kick, Francois Chow, a man who's lived in 6 countries. I got to interview him in Pasadena. These are the voices of Joe. If you're still turning up for Joe, of course it's plastic. Yes, we can talk that we can say Wild Weasel was too good looking. In the classified, he's too good looking. We both know that. Where's the hair lip? He's got to be deformed, guys. Anyway, but yeah, to wrap up Cobra Convergence. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother, for being available. And I'll say this about Joe Media. Are we the best looking crowd? Of course not. Of course not. But we understand that, like, when you turn up and tell your own story, it's your story. That's all we've done. Everybody meets up at conventions, Everybody enjoys each other's art. I don't know, there's something to that.
And the other thing too is when there's a Joe gathering, there's never really overall, there's never really any drama. It's really, it's like, it's almost a brotherhood, and I talked a little bit about this with my pal Casey from, my co-host and also on Podcast from the Pit. We went to Joe Fest. I mean, it was just a gathering of, as you would say, brothers. It's just, hanging out and just, clinking drinks, telling stories, just chilling, telling our own stories, telling Joe's stories, playing, making our own stories together. And, there's no and there's not really any animosity. I mean, there's the usual like little things that happen here and there, but by and large, I've never had a bad time at a Joe gathering.
No, they're good folks. They're good folks. That's why we're here, brother. That's why we're here. That's why I'm a 40-some-year-old dude turning up on a live stream. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Hey, you mentioned our brothers, of course, G.I. Joeberg. I love you guys. Enjoy the Southern Hemisphere. Keep talking. You raise a glass. Talk somebody up in Joe Media.
Where do you start?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big in podcasting, so it's like, you got the What's on Joe mind. You got
coming up right after this, by the way.
Yeah. Jeez, anything Joe's, Joe on Joe Pod,
Joe on Joe, baby.
Podcast from the Pit. I mean, those are, audible interlude,
Hmm.
um,
Full force in
full
the.
force. How do I forget? Yeah, he's basically my neighbor now in New England. So
He's
he's
a professional,
oh
turning up with
gosh.
celebrities. Good man. See you, brother. Yeah, no, they're out there. Of course, HTC, who's on a vacation. You can't quit, Joe, baby. You're too good at what you do. We'll see you in time. Uh, Cobra Convergence. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, Gary.
Dang it. No,
Always.
absolutely. Always.
Um, and of course, you can find us on the timelines. We ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
Um, thank you, my man,
Thank you.
and cheers to all of you guys.
Cheers to you guys. Thanks for joining us.